This might be the most important video you hear in your life. Keep in mind they're changing my voice to confuse you about my characteristics, my spirit, my essence, and who I am. When we look at the controlled opposition people we see protesting for Palestine, causing all kinds of trouble, we already have our rights taken away completely. Before October 7th of last year, in 2023, our rights were already taken away. People just pretend to have rights. You hardly have the right to do anything. And here comes this waves of these people. And we know that globalists are disproportionately in Western culture. And a lot of them, for whatever reason, I'm not racist here, I'm not insulting people because of their race, just pointing out that most of them are white, Jew, and LGBT, just like the colonists. The LGBT movement in America didn't just spring up one day. They came here as colonists, they colonized people, and they turned them out. And then they disproportionately aimed it at minorities and say, if you don't want to be a white supremacist, be a Democrat. Now you're a Democrat. Hey, merge with the LGBT and the feminists and the witches and the Satanists and so on and so forth. And you see, of course, the wolves in sheep's clothes, according to mainstream white culture, are the Republicans. They're Satanists. They're satanic conservatives that give themselves the label of Christian. A Christian wouldn't cheat me out of my right to lead. But we see that they're doing just that. Every culture you can think of is wrong except for mine. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but you need to understand the difference between mere human rules, customs, and traditions and universal pinpoint and moral precision. So when we see these protesters raising hell, this one guy on the screen, I put that picture on the screen, has a green fro. He's making fun of black people, white people, and clowning the idea of being a protester at the same time. To mock can also mean to prevent, not just to imitate, but to prevent. Say you're trying to give a speech and you're trying to be serious, and someone starts mocking you in the crowd where no one else sees, or maybe they do see. It's making it harder for you to do what you got to do, right? It's preventing that speech. And so it is with the protests. They're co-opting, they're mocking, they're preventing while people starve to death in Palestine. And they're attacking the state, so the state starts acting all white supremacist, conservative-ish, because it's a conservative state, like a social clubs. They control both parties. Are they more accurately described as conservatives in suits and crests that go way back? Or are they modern-day liberals who are open-minded and think that, who think logically and fairly that the governing class shouldn't be in charge and that they shouldn't have totalitarian-like powers? They are conservatives. Some of them put on a little liberal cap for a moment and they fund people who are weirder to kind of be the face of the left. And then they back the conservatives and they know that it's evil to be a conservative. That's why there's a bunch of brutes and racists and hate groups, because what they're doing is evil. Being Darth fucking Vader and Palpatine is evil. Being Lex Luthor is evil. Being Doctor Doom is evil. Being the Riddler and the Joker and the Penguin and Mr. Freeze, that's evil. And much, much worse than that is the governing class. So I urge you all to see my videos, subscribe, rally to me, comment, and do not be afraid of these monsters who are raping your kids so you can be their slave for the rest of your life. The modern day slave, wage slaves, sex trafficking, sexual harassment, reinforcing their cultures, customs, mores, traditions, rules. Reinforcing their psychology, the things that enslave your friends, your families, and your neighbors. The reason why I'm stumbling over my speech, believe it or not, is because I'm being fumed. And even the word fume is a play on words for F-U, me. That's how it's spelled. F-U and me. The last part of it is me. And so they're saying, fuck you, I'm going to mock and prevent what you have to say while kids are being fucking raped. While women are being tortured and raped all over the world. Why people are being turned out and harassed and intimidated and drugged. There's things in the food. There's things in the air. Even if you ask the FDA, are they conspiracy theorists? If you ask them, are there fillers and unhealthy stuff in the food that doesn't need to be there, that corporations have made popular for their own reasons, right? Whether it's financial incentives, whether it's, eugenics and cruelty, they'll tell you yes. It's impossible to not know that that's the case and to work in the FDA. Impossible. That's like paying attention to politics and not knowing the politicians are corrupt. It's impossible. I've said many times that people shouldn't tolerate people who play stupid about the existence of gang stalking. Look up the statistics on rape and child molestation, right? 1 in 6 little boys by the age of 18 are molested, and 1 in 4 little girls, okay? And ask yourselves, do rapists often threaten their victims? Do fraternities often work in groups to rape people like college frats? Historically, did they do these things? What about military personnel and fraternities in the military? Are they or are they not associated with these activities? And why exactly? So you can see it's absurd for someone to make the argument that people who are being harassed sexually, couldn't possibly be harassed by people who are trying to play them out is crazy. Look up the Martha Mitchell effect. One form of being a whistleblower is blowing the whistle on rape. Okay? People who pretend that America doesn't have a rape problem, that the military, the police, the government, some of the main groups that are accused of gang stalking don't have a rape problem are crazy. People who think that it is natural for a female to be a gold digger, to give up everything that matters. When you look at a sunset or a flower, okay, do you think, hey, you need to be a gold digger? Or do you naturally say, I need what's beautiful in life? Not mere blood money and the despicable things that it buys. Some fancy schmancy car. Some jewelry. I mean, what's jewelry compared to the flowers and the sun and nature and the beach and the seagulls hovering above the water? What is it? It's just shiny hunks of metal, It is stupid to be a gold digger. So is your argument that females naturally are just magically stupid? Or are they being bred to be stupid? Are they being dumbed down by toxic DNA coming from the governing class and their allies and social clubs? Are they being trained to be stupid? When you get all dressed up fancy schmancy for some organized rape by deception worm in a corporation, you think that's smart? You think it's smart to throw the righteous hero under the bus for some gene snatching, in terms of every generation they're coercing women and tricking them into bed and marrying them. That's why there's a 50% divorce rate. Some gene snatching in that sense. Kind of worm. How about a genie in a bottle? Wine and grape. Grape is a play on words for G, rape. And again, G, like the G in masonry, the G with an E, which has the same sound, is Gaia. Gaia. So people aren't thinking, again, no offense to the LGBT community, but they're not thinking straight. Straight and gay alike. Look at porn. Why are there so many orgies in porn? Why would someone be a porn star to begin with? They're not thinking straight. They're probably using drugs, which makes it harder for them to think straight. And some of these porns, there's orgies. And some they don't even consider, I don't want to get into details, but they do acts that are gayer than hell in porn. When I was young, I used to watch porn to some degree. Okay? Lots of people did. That's what happens when you lead the upright along a wrong path by making an evil psychological construct where the most righteous person that ever lived, the top martial artist ever possible, is shunned. Now think about this. How many of you seen gangster movies? How many of you like the horrible, evil, rapist gangster getting the chick instead of the gangster who's making a mistake by being a gangster who is inclined to do the right thing? When we look at this thing, anyone who rolls with society in a textbook kind of way is obviously inferior to a gangster with a higher cause. Bear with me now. No one should join gangs. We'll get to that. First, let's go through all the lists of the groups and ask ourselves, are they conforming to the rape by deception system? And are they associated heavily with rape? Populars, jocks, skaters, emos, goths, anime manga fans, right? Cosplay, right? They disassociate and pretend they're something else. Nerds, preps. Are rich people often nerdy? You betcha. Look at the tech sector. So we can see that people who conform to these cultures are reinforcing the rape by deception system. Then we see gangsters who often admit that their culture is wrong. These other cultures, for the most part, don't. But gangsters do, right? They say, hey, they found God. They're like the one culture that gives up their culture and then finds God. So if you're a man of God, would you choose a culture that's full of hypocrisy and greed and evil and selfishness and rape by deception, and they won't even admit that they're scum? Or would you choose the one culture that admits that their culture isn't perfect that is more analytical and more appealing than the other cultures. Open and shut. This isn't brain surgery here. It doesn't take me, the top martial artist ever possible, to ascertain this truth and these truths. What a disgrace we see on this planet. The Bible says they're like dung on the ground. Are they talking about some homeless person that the society has collectively abused in the next week? Or is the main finger being pointed at the mainstream culture? Isaiah 34, the Lord is angry with all nations. Real quickly, I want you to ask yourselves, do you think they haven't done it before? How many people were raped in Europe during World War II and World War I? How many Native American women were raped? How many black African slaves? And if you think, here we go again, you're saying here we go again, while on any given day, countless females, including children and also guys, are being raped. So you're like, oh, here we go. Are you trying to prevent the solution? Are you trying to prevent me from stopping people from raping people? That's crazy. What kind of monster would just say, here we go again, instead of put together the facts and rally for morally precise solutions? The determinant in rape is nurture and culture. And bringing in more oppression from the government, that is the main reason people are being raped, they're the main rapists, the governing class and the government, isn't the solution. You need a moral order.